This is Omar for BoxNation. I'm joined by Gareth A Davies the morning after Chris Eubank Jr.'s decision win over Conor Benn at Tottenham Hotspur. Just get your opening reflections on it, Gareth.
A terrific fight, a night that will live long in the memory. Fight of the year so far, maybe around the world, but certainly on British shores. Couple of rounds there could easily be the round of the year. Um, I thought Chris Eubank won it. I scored it 8 rounds to 4 to him, as the judges did, 116, 112. I can understand people seeing 7-5, because there were a couple of swing rounds in there, definitely. But massive credit to both men, but I think even more so to Conor Benn for his granite-like qualities, his relentlessness, his desire, his will to never give up the fight, even when he was under massive pressure in the championship rounds. But I got to come back to this. It wasn't a mismatch, but it played out as I thought it would, and as many of us thought it would. There's weight divisions for a reason, and the bigger men by 12 to 14 pounds won it for that reason on the night. I think Conor Benn has proven that when he goes back down to welterweight, he's going to be a wrecking ball, because he didn't hurt Eubank massively in the fight because of the weight differential, in my view, but he certainly fatigued him by his relentlessness, and his instincts to have a fight. It was a street fight. It was a duel. It delivered. It was an amazing atmosphere. It was an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be there. And, you know, with both old men being there, I mean, I managed to speak to Eubank Sr. afterwards as well. And he told me that Ben is a great, superior fighter, but needs to go back to 147, reiterated his views on that. I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable, and as I say, I thought it delivered. It truly delivered, because it had received a lot of criticism in the build-up. Then it got a lot of publicity. It was labelled a mismatch to begin with, but it wasn't in the end. It was an amazing fight. They both got the DNA of their fathers deep, deep, deep inside them, of course. That's an obvious thing to say, but the fighting DNA. And I think both men deserve great credit.
Okay. Do you want to see a rematch or not?
No, I think we're done. I think that's it. I think we see the same thing over again. You, you don't, I don't think we want Conor Benn to stay up at middleweight, have another fight at middleweight. I'd rather see him. He can't go up and go down and yo-yo. You can't do that. It's going to wreck you. You know, the because he's such a strong, well-conditioned fighter. He was able to do this, but in my view, there's no need for a rematch. I thought it was comprehensive. I don't believe it was as close as some people are making out. If it had been a draw, if they had a controversial decision, then there might have been grounds for it. But I think we've seen the best of them fighting each other, and I don't think we need to see it again. I think the same thing happens all over again. I'd like to see Conor Benn go back down to 147, fight for the WBC title against Mario Barrios, who I think he's very capable of beating, and become a world champion at 147.
Okay. So you couldn't see any argument there last night for even a 7-5 to Eubank or a 6-all?
Yeah, I could see an argument for a 7-5. That's what I'm saying. And if you want to do another swing round, I was in agreement. The judges, Eubank the first round, Eubank the fourth, fifth, sixth, or yeah, fourth, fifth, sixth. I think the judges were in agreement with, and 11 and 12. And I agreed with all those rounds. I gave Ben 2 and 3. Think a 9 and 10, something like that. I've got scribbled notes here beside me. It was close in terms of the intensity of them fighting each other, but in the scoring of the rounds, I thought Eubank was the clear winner.
Okay.
I think people were going for Ben on popularity, wanting him to win, and also on his sheer bloody-minded willingness to engage at every stage. And as I say to you, he made the fight. He made the fight in many ways. His attitude from going for it for the off, I thought Eubank thought he was going to get him out of there early and realised he couldn't, um, and had to revert back to his jab. But Ben's tenacity for those 12 rounds are what makes it closer on the eye.
Okay. What did you make of Billy Joe Saunders not being allowed into Eubank's changing room to inspect his
Well,
hand?
well, it was very odd. I went to clarify with because I interviewed Billy for Talk Sports early on in the night, or certainly when I think the third or fourth fight was on. Maybe it was Anthony Yard and Lyndon Arthur at the time. And Billy confirmed that he was going in to see the hand wraps. And I just thought it would go ahead as planned. Obviously, they lodged a protest about it. I've seen the video outside with him and
Napa.
Elliot, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
going at it. Napa, Napa, yeah, Napa
Yeah, Napa, yeah.
Fitness. Yeah, his manager. His Elliot is his name, isn't it? His name's Elliot,
Is
and
it? I
and
just called him Napa, to be honest. But
yeah, but his name is Elliot. Yeah, and I saw them going at it, and it got quite flagrant at one point. And I saw Robert Smith was there, and I went to check with Robert Smith, and the Boxing Board of Control oversaw the hand wraps in the end. I don't know if you know that, but yeah, I mean, it was very odd. I didn't really know what to make of it. I suspect they thought that Billy was going to go in there and just be disruptive, and they tried to block him, and they got permission to block it.
okay.
I mean, there was a security. There were like 8 security guards there as well, weren't there? Outside from Lions Den, obviously, a phalanx of guards making sure that he couldn't go in there. What did I make of it? I think they blocked it because they thought Billy was going to go in there and cause mayhem.
Probably would have to be fair.
Yeah.
Just the last one then. You spoke about what you want to see Conor do. What do you want to see Eubank Jr. do if they don't rematch?
I want to see him fight Billy Joe Saunders at 15 stone. No, I spoke to Billy about him coming back. He had been in talks. He's probably told you this as well, that he was in talks to fight Eubank, but they wouldn't allow him a warm-up fight. This was last September they were talking, which was fascinating to know because that was always a big fight.
Well, I just literally asked them this 10 minutes ago, and I said, you might want a couple of comeback warm-up fights and then maybe look at the Eubank Jr. rematch if you want to do that. And he said going off last night that Eubank would be his warm-up fight.
What at what though? At 12 stone or?
He said it's super middleweight, yeah.
Well,
Basically, he
it's
wasn't
warm-up
impressed
fight
by
for what
Eubank
though?
at all.
Was that?
Basically, what he's saying, he was not impressed by Eubank one bit.
Oh, I thought Eubank. Look, I thought Eubank was. He wasn't hurt by Ben, but he was fatigued a couple of times, and he was under pressure a couple of times. But I don't think he was truly hurt in the fight. Obviously, he's damaged in some way. He's in the hospital and he's been kept in got a statement here from Ben Shalom. I've just filed a piece to the Telegraph. There's a statement here from Ben Shalom, which has just come through his press officer, Ed Roth. Pleased to confirm that Chris, can I read this to you?
Yeah.
I'm pleased to confirm that Chris is doing well and currently resting. There's no truth to the rumours regarding a broken jaw. As part of his standard post-fight protocol, Chris is at the hospital for precautionary checks to monitor his vitals and ensure everything is in order. They take these measures very seriously, given everything they've experienced in the past. This process is something they now prioritise after every fight. Chris and Conor gave absolutely everything in what was the biggest legacy fight of all time, with their father standing proudly behind them. It was a moment that will forever be stamped in sporting history. And my understanding is, on those precautionary measures, he's going to stay in today and just get his checks. What next for Chris Eubank? and Billy wasn't impressive. No, I thought he was impressive. I mean, but it was Conor Benn that emerges with great stock risen. It's what I expected to happen. I expected Conor Benn to be very explosive and very dangerous early, and Chris Eubank to take over the fight as it went on and win on points. As the fight grew closer, I wondered whether it would be a close fight. I didn't think Conor Benn was going to stop Eubank, and I didn't think Eubank was going to stop Conor Benn. Um, but I still don't feel like there's a need to see them fight again. I think weight divisions for a reason. We've seen it now. It delivered. We don't need to go over it again. They earned handsomely from it. Chris Eubank can have a couple of big fights now. Obviously not with Liam Smith, because that's ruled out now because of a fantastic victory by young Aaron McKenna on the night. And maybe he'll pursue Canelo at 12 stone.
Okay. Gareth,
You could see Canelo
go
coming
on.
to the UK to fight him, couldn't you?
Canelo coming to the UK? Yeah, possibly. He has never boxed here, so you might want to do it
It's
as
his
well.
ninth Brit.
Can count them. Matthew Hatton, Khan, Billy Joe,
Ryan Rhodes,
Ryan Rhodes, it's four. Uh,
Rocky Fielding, Callum
Callum
Smith.
Smith, six. You sure it would be nine?
Yeah, yeah, it's nine. Yeah, it'd be his ninth, I think. Amir Khan.
Said Khan.
Hang on, just to get this right. Just to get this right. Liam Smith,
Oh, Liam Smith, of course.
Rocky Fielding. We said Rocky, haven't we?
John Ryder.
And John Ryder. There we go. There's eight. That's all of them. That's all eight.
Mm. Yeah,
I'll go down the John Ryder, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Rocky Fielding, Liam Smith, Amir Khan. Wow, what a record. Ryan Rhodes, Matthew Hatton.
okay, G. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Um, yeah, I thought it was a night to savour. It's great to see. Um, them showing the DNA, the deep fighting DNA of their fathers. And I just thought it was a celebration of British boxing on Saturday night. 65,000. God, it's hard to get away from Spurs ground. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that.
Horrendous.
Can I tell you my little trick? My 4 mile bike ride, leaving my bike outside the stadium, back to my car, even getting on my bicycle up to whatever it is, Seven Sisters Road. I mean, it was just unreal. How long did it take you to get an Uber?
About an hour.
Yeah. And that was probably at 1 or 2 a.m., wasn't it?
Half two, yeah, 2 a.m.
Yeah. What do you think they should rematch?
No, no, I
How
don't.
did you score it?
I had it 7-5 to Eubank.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I
I
don't think
think
it was.
Connor should campaign at 47.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I do think people say, "Oh no, you can't put him in with Boots Ennis." Yes, you can.
I think Barrios makes sense, no?
But I think he beats Barrios.
Okay.
Um, what? Don't rule out him beating Boots Ennis. Don't rule it
You think
out.
he can beat Jordan Ennis?
I think he's got so much tenacity. He dealt with Eubank hits hard. He dealt with a very strong Eubank. I thought he dealt very well with
Yeah,
him.
with Ennis, you're talking about someone who could end up being pound for pound number one. Do you not think?
Let's see him get tested first properly
What,
by an elite level
Stanionis was
fighter.
on the test?
He was a test. Listen, he was brilliant in that fight. He was absolutely brilliant. That was his coming of age performance at the beginning of his purple patch. But why did he never fight Terence Crawford? Was Crawford avoiding him? Was he avoiding Crawford? Why did he never fight Errol Spence?
I don't think when it wasn't a big enough name. Spence and Crawford were looking at other business, so
Or were they avoiding him?
Quite possibly.
We shall never know.
Cheers, Gareth. Gareth, even. God,
That's all right. You can
long
call me
night.
Gareth. It's Sunday.
Gareth. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Pleasure. Cheers.
Queensbury,
The biggest fights.
and the biggest nights.
Home of champions.
The home of knockouts.
There's no way back from this.
The home of the future.
And this is it.
The global home of boxing.
Queensbury, exclusively on design.